Hey everyone, Skull902 back again. This is part 4 of Sonic 1, and we are going to be playing Labyrinth Zone, which is terrible. Um, but during this part, I'm going to actually be telling, giving a little more of my opinions on the Sonic games. Last part, I talked about Sonic 1 and I gave my nutshell opinion, I guess, of Sonic 2. So I guess I'll just keep going down the list of all the games that I've played. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is my favorite of the 2D classics by far. I don't know, it just really refined the classic formula to a point where, obviously there's glitches and stuff, but it's very, very well made game. I forgot to mention CD. Sonic CD is pretty good, though it's a lot more platformy than the other ones, and that's not bad. Platformers are my favorite. I should say, platforming games are my favorite games. That's my favorite genre of video games. So I'm all for platforming and stuff. But with Sonic, it's about the platforming, but it's about speed too. It's speed and platforming, a good mix of the two. And Sonic CD, I will say, has, its speedy areas, but in comparison with the others, I don't know. Then we got Sonic Adventure, which I believe is, a pretty good game. It's of Adventure and Adventure 2, I believe Adventure 1 has the better gameplay. And I think it's a really good style of gameplay that Sonic should, still have these days, in my personal opinion. Just, really refined, because there are noticeable bugs, and, if the Adventure formula was refined, I believe that we could have some really great Sonic games. Out of all the 3D games, Adventure 1 is the most like the classics, and I don't know if that's a factor in me liking it more than Adventure 2, but, well, the gameplay anyway. There was something else I wanted to mention about Adventure. The definitive version, in my opinion, the best version of Adventure is the Dreamcast version. And I think that is because, in my opinion, there's a lot less glitches on the Dreamcast version, because, like, every other version of the game that's come out has been a port of it. So, you've got Sonic Adventure DX, which is a port. You've got the, original PC version of Sonic Adventure DX, which is also a port, and, so on, with all the other re-releases of Adventure. I don't really know how pricey or affordable Dreamcast stuff is on the market, but if you can find a Dreamcast and a copy of Sonic Adventure 1 for a price that you think is good, I'd say jump on it, because in my opinion it's just the best version of the game. Then there's Sonic Adventure 2, which was, like I said, my favorite game of all time at one point. Personally, I think the gameplay of Adventure 1 is better, but I think it's the story of Adventure 2 that sort of made me think that it was the better game between the two. And I like Adventure 1's story. It's a fun little thing, but I don't know. Adventure 2 sort of raised the stakes, and, I liked that. I liked that a lot. So a lot of people actually these days don't like Adventure 2. It was one of the most beloved Sonic games when I became a fan of the series, but now the opinion on it from the fan base is different, to put it lightly. A lot of fans who liked it before seem to have a problem with the story, and I don't know, I just don't see the complaints. Maybe I'm just being a total idiot. I know one criticism is that they don't really explain much, but I find that it's either explained in some sort of supplemental material, which I know is a bit of a cop-out. either that or it's left up to interpretation, in my opinion. And you know, there's obviously flaws in the story of Sonic Adventure 2, like, say, people mistaking Shadow for Sonic in broad fucking daylight. But, you know, I think it's a good story. It's not the best story, but, you know, I think it holds up more than people typically think it does. Then we got Sonic Heroes, which I haven't beaten, to be honest, because the levels are very long and I don't know, they kind of drag on, in my opinion. I haven't even beaten Team Sonic Story yet. It's a game that I've owned for over 5 years, for over 6 years now, actually. But I don't know, it just, that and the fact that you have to do those horrible special stages in order to, you know, get the last story and all that. Like, I just don't feel too inclined to go back and beat Sonic Heroes when I could, you know, be playing Adventure or Adventure 2 or, you know, some of the other games instead. Then we've got Shadow the Hedgehog, which it's kind of like Heroes, but with you know, different kind of gameplay. Like, it's more like the adventure games, but they put like weapons in it and stuff. And I don't hate this. I don't hate the game as much as other people do. I actually, you know, call me weird, call me whatever, but I actually kind of like the weapon play in Shadow the Hedgehog. There's a couple of weapons that suck. I will not lie about that. There are a couple of weapons that are just not very good, but for the most part, you know, I like the guns and whatever. The vehicles, though, that's another story completely. Holy fucking shit. The only vehicle I like is the motorcycle in one of the levels. But yeah, like, Shadow the Hedgehog has a very bad story. I will say that, though. It's just silly. When they really want you to think that this is serious, it's just a silly story, in my opinion. Then there's Sonic 06. Haven't played it. Sonic and the Secret Rings. Haven't played it. And then there's Sonic Unleashed. And I've barely played the SD version of Unleashed, so I can only really give you my opinion on the HD version. Sonic Unleashed HD is my favorite video game of all time. And, like, it's the story. It's the best story in Sonic. It is a great story. And, you know, again with the gameplay, like, I don't see as many problems as other people have, especially when it considers a werehog. In fact, when people compare the werehog gameplay to God of War, I groan. Like, I don't see a similarity. It's a 3D beat-em-up. That's where the similarities end, in my opinion. But like the boost gameplay, you know, I really like it. I like the levels quite a bit, except for, like, I should clarify that I like the daytime levels quite a bit. The nighttime levels are a different story. Like, I like the gameplay, but as far as the levels go, I like it when they're being more platformy, because the platforming with the werehog is awesome. And levels like Rooftop Run at night really exemplify that. But when they're being more combat-y, like fucking Arid Sands at night, it's dreadful. You know, it's boring, dreadful, not fun to play. And it's not to say that the combat in the game is even bad. It's just that they put way too much of it in certain levels. But that's really it for Unleashed HD. Like I said, I haven't played enough of the SD version to really give any, you know, valid thoughts on it. Then we've got Sonic Colors. And Sonic Colors, for as shitty as a video game player that I am, I surprised the crap out of myself when I was able to beat Sonic Colors in 4.5 hours earlier this year. Sonic Colors is great. I think it's got a very fun story. The gameplay is top-notch. and there's really not much more to say about it. Um, it's a pretty fun game. I like the wisps, and of course, Sonic Colors, just in a nutshell, great game. Um, then there's Sonic Generations, and I liked it a lot more at first. Like, I still think it's a great game. But for a while, it was like the only game I had for my 360, and I think I got a little sick of playing the levels. I mean, I can go back and play them just fine. It's just, I prefer Unleashed's levels for the, boost gameplay. But I think that they did a great job emulating the classic Sonic gameplay. It's the best, it's the closest, aside from the advanced games, in my opinion, that they ever got to really, recreating the way that the classic games played. But that's about it. I haven't played any Sonic games that came out more recently than that. I haven't played Lost World, and I haven't played the Boom games, so I can't really give you my opinions on those. And so after that little retrospective to try and get myself through Labyrinth Zone, which sucks, I guess I'll tell you a few things about Labyrinth Zone. Labyrinth Zone was supposed to go 4th in the game, sorry, Labyrinth Zone is 4th. It's the 4th zone in the game. It was supposed to go 2nd. I'm very glad that Sega decided not to go with that. And you can actually see that in some revisions of Sonic 1 in the level select. Labyrinth Zone will be 2nd. But I'm glad that they didn't go with that because that's just too much of a difficulty spike, in my opinion. Too much of a difficulty spike. Speaking of spikes, we have some here. And before we get going here, I should also mention that this is the only zone with water. Scratch that. But water plays a big role in Labyrinth Zone, and Sonic can, drown and stuff. There was a scrapped power-up that was a pair of goggles, which is believed to have made Sonic breathe infinitely underwater, which the bubble shield from Sonic 3 and Knuckles would sort of, serve that purpose later on. But I'm rambling. I'm just glad that we got through Labyrinth Zone, that I was able to talk my way through it with my thoughts on the Sonic games and everything. So, with all of that said, Part 5 is coming up. It's going to be Starlight Zone, which I really like. So, yeah, with all that said, I will see you guys in Part 5. See you later.